Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. Today on the podcast, we are asking the question, should coffee roasters pay for education? Specifically, we're talking about coffee roasters today, although this information applies to everybody, but we're specifically talking about coffee roasters today because somebody asked the question, why do we have to pay for the mastermind groups? It's a valid question. And I thought that I would talk openly about why you should or you shouldn't pay for your education as a coffee roaster. And this question came specifically about the Coffee Roasters Mastermind group that is led by our coach, Ann Cooper, who is a long-time consultant in the coffee industry and has done pretty much everything there is to do with regards to coffee roasting, bar designing her own coffee roasting machine, but she is working on her first book. So that's the other thing that she hasn't done yet, but it is on the way. Now, should you pay for education? The short answer is, it's up to you. Should you or shouldn't you is a decision that you need to make. I'm going to let you know why you should pay for education. And there are many, many reasons why you should, and very few reasons why you shouldn't. All of them hinge on one thing. How serious are you about success? How serious are you about where you want this to go, whether you're a business owner or not? So this applies to people who are coffee roasters in general and coffee roasters who own their own businesses. So let's look at it. Why should you pay? Well, first of all, because the moment you start paying for someone, you are paying someone for their services, the focus goes from it being about them to being about you. You're the customer. And when you are paying for something, the requirement on deliverables has escalated tremendously. Before that, if you're not paying for somebody's time, if you're not paying for the information, if you're not paying for the resource, they have no focus on ensuring that the deliverable is all about you. They can push whatever agenda they want if you're getting something for free. So once you pay for education, the education is all about you, the customer, and not about them and their sponsors. I mentioned something important there, opinion versus information. The moment you start paying, the information that they're sharing with you must be embedded or must come from a place of expertise. If somebody is giving you information for free without receiving anything in return, there's no requirement for it to be about expertise. It can simply be an opinion. And there's no real enforcement of that requirement because you're not really a customer. There needs to be a value exchange if you want to make sure that the information that you're receiving is credible. So paying something for education is important because you have an expectation of a value exchange for your money. The next thing, your goals become the target of the educator in a way that must be measurable. So, for example, in our mastermind groups, we started off the year by saying to people, what is it that you want to achieve this year in your roasting goals? What is it that you want to have gained skills in by the end of your time in the mastermind groups? Now, otherwise, for example, this podcast is free. I or whoever comes and imparts information on any kind of a podcast doesn't have to deliver a specific goal to anybody that watches this podcast. The moment that you're paying for the information in the mastermind groups, we are specifically required, based on the objectives that we have set, to deliver on the goals that you have outlined. And that is our commitment to you. Also, when you pay for education, the educator becomes more open with their resources because, again, that phrase, there is a value exchange. They are invested in your success because you have paid for a product, and they are invested in the outcome being successful for the both of you because it drives their business further. In order for people to do that, they share their resources with you. Those resources can be diagrams that they've come up with. That can be access to software that they have. It can also be access to the network that they have. Now, as a part of my consulting and my coaching, based on the different levels of how you engage my services, my network becomes available to people who are one-on-one clients with me. So I open up my network. If you're a one-on-one client with me and I'm working with your business one-on-one, not in the mastermind groups, but if you are working with me one-on-one, my whole entire network across the coffee industry, which is vast, becomes a part of your network. You have access to that. Again, you're paying for my services. Your success is something that I am intrinsically tied to. Not just because I want to see all my clients do well, but because you're paying for my services. And a part of those services are the people that I have access to and that I can help to drive a better relationship for both parties involved. Now, with everything that I've said, it drives home one main reason why you should pay for education: accountability. Now, when you are paying somebody to educate you, to train you, to teach you, to show you anything about coffee roasting, whether it be business related or whether it be technically related, they are accountable to making sure that the information is passed on in a way that you know how to consume it. So if I am being engaged in the services for one of the mastermind groups for a coffee roasting small business owner, and they come to one of the small business mastermind groups and we've set the objectives, because they're paying for that, I am accountable to make sure that they leave with the information that they've paid to acquire. Now, if that's not the case, if you email Map It Forward and you say, "Hey Lee, I was wondering if you could ask this question, if you could answer this question on the podcast." Sure, no problem. But I am not accountable, and nobody is accountable that you're not paying to answer a question. They're not accountable to pass on that information in a way that you can consume it. I can pass on the information or I cannot pass on the information, and I'm not required to do it in a way that you understand. If you are paying me to do that though, it's a whole different story. If you're paying me to do that and I agree to engage in that exchange, a big part of my role as an educator and as a consultant is to ensure that the information that you have paid me for, you receive. Accountability is the number one reason that you should pay for education from people you believe have the clout and the expertise to provide you with the information that you pass on. Now, with anything that we do at Map It Forward when it comes to education, we aim to over-deliver. And so if we get contacted by a client that says, and in fact this has never happened, but if it were to happen, where somebody says to me, "I actually wasn't happy with the service that you gave, with the information that you passed on, with the education that we got from you," if anybody ever said that they were unhappy with anything that they paid for, we would correct it immediately. We would try and find the right coach. We would try and, the priority is not giving people back their money. The priority is getting people the information that they need. So if they came to me and said, "Hey, listen, you coached me on something and I don't feel that you did a good enough job, that's something we correct right away. We find the right person that can give them the information that they need so that they feel that they have received more than they paid for. And that is a part of the business value structure in Map It Forward. Now, business coaching and consulting ties itself, when you pay for it, it ties itself to your success. This is something very important for people to understand, because when you look at forums and Facebook groups and conversations on Reddit and Twitter about why people shouldn't pay for education, and there's a big misconception in the coffee industry worldwide that information should be free in the coffee industry. Well, listen, if you want free information, go get free information, but don't hang your hat on it. My success as a coach, my success as a business owner who brings in other coaches to train people in coffee roasting and to help people become the best possible coffee roaster they can be and to achieve their own specific coffee roasting goals. My success as a business owner, as a consultant, and as a business coach is tied to your success. That is the best reason to pay for coaching. All of our coaches are tied to your success. And because of that symbiotic relationship, everybody wins. We don't bring any coaches on board who we don't hang our hat on. We want to make sure that you get far more than you pay for. And that has been all the feedback that we've received constantly for all the mastermind groups that we've got going on, as well as all the consulting work that happens through Map It Forward. People believe that they get far more than they pay for. And if you're in a relationship that's education based, that has that at the core of its deliverable, everybody's success is intertwined. And that's a really great relationship to be in, because the balance of power hangs with nobody. Everybody's conspiring to everybody else's success, and nobody's successful if anybody fails. And that's the way that we choose to run our business, and it's the way that I hope that you seek information. Specifically with coffee roasting, there is so many people out there with opinions about what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. People ready to tell you that the way that you want to roast coffee is not the right way. You should be roasting it their way. Well, let me tell you, any coach that's halfway decent is going to first figure out what your objectives are above their own agenda. And that's a really, really important thing that you get when you pay for education. There's a whole bunch of transparency, there's a whole bunch of professionalism, there's a whole bunch of all of that really delicious stuff that you can hang your hat on that comes with paying for education. So, when you are looking to learn, find the best possible education you can afford. Everything else is an opinion, and you should take it as an opinion, unless you are paying for education that directly and intrinsically ties itself to your success in the specific thing you're getting educated for. You're not going to get the outcome that you want. And that's why I am a firm believer in a value exchange when it comes to education. I hope this has been helpful, friends. If you do want to get in on our business coaching or on our roasting coaching, look in the show notes below or read the show notes below. Peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day.